It was an American story, and it came generated out of America. So even though it was shot totally in Canada, and in fact, I've never shot any film in America ever. Even though many of my stories, like The Dead Zone, for example, Cosmopolis, they're set in America, but they were shot in Canada. Yeah, I mean, and of course, beyond America, there's a kind of archetypal feel to that story. It's almost Ulysses, you know. I mean, it's got its own Odyssey. It could be a Greek tragedy in a way, and in a way that's you. And this is well known, of course, in art. To be universal, you must be specific. You have to set your story, if it's a story. Of course, it doesn't have to be. It could be an image, but it has to be it will always be in a particular context. You can't make something that's universal directly. You have to do it through specific things, but that has resonance for people wherever they are in the world, and you hope that you hope for that. You don't always achieve that, you know. In the same way, for example, that an actor cannot play an abstract concept. You know, for when I was speaking, let's say, with Rob Pattinson about his character in Cosmopolis, I don't say, "You are the embodiment of capitalism," and an actor says, how do I play that? You know, what's my voice like? You know, you can't say that, but you hope that through the playing of that specific guy, the New Yorker, the wunderkind New Yorker, hedge fund guy, that there will be a universal understanding of what capitalism might be, good and bad, and that you will understand it better through him, the specifics of him. So I think that's true in general of art. So once again, in History of Violence, very American story, very particular story set in a particular town and a state, but with kind of universal resonances. You hope for that.
There are two sex scenes that are, I think, central to the film.
Yeah.
They're very different.
Yes.
Why did you put them in, and what do you feel is the difference?
Yes. Yeah, they weren't actually in the original script, and they were things that I put in. Well, it's sex between a man and a woman who know each other very well, they think. And yet it's a sort of before and after, you know. It's a sort of during the illusion, when they have created these characters together and this marriage together, and then afterwards it's a kind of all of that has been stripped away, and betrayal has been involved, and now it's just very raw between two people who almost don't know each other. It's worse than not knowing each other, because they have antagonized each other. It's sort of scenes from a marriage, really, you know, with Bergman film. That's a great film, a great TV series, actually. So my version of scenes from a marriage, you know, different moments in a marriage, which in that movie, those scenes take place within not too much time has passed between those two scenes. But if you are in a marriage that goes on for many years, you have many scenes from a marriage, and you have sex scenes or love scenes or whatever, that are very different, you know, given the shifts and changes in people. It's very fascinating, very intriguing. There's no consistency, you know.
The second scene happening after, like, Tom was forced to show this real,
yes.
You might say so, I don't know, real identity.
Yes.
Is it the second time? Is it more truthful or more passionate then, or is it?
Well, it's more desperate. It's more desperate the second time, because there's a desperation to keep what they had, on the part of both of them, and yet it's much more raw, because, and in some ways it is more truthful, because now they are the real people to each other. And that's not always a good thing, and it's not always a bearable thing. I mean, there's a sense in which with different people, we create a new character, you know. It's like acting. We do change depending on what our context is with each other, and there's no guarantee that because you are married to someone and you have sex with them a couple of times a week or whatever it is, that is the most real you. It's a construction, and a marriage is a kind of performance that goes on for a long time. It's a performance art piece. But you might have a friend that you are more real with than your wife or your husband because of the chemistry. It's possible, I'm sure, you know. So it was an opportunity within a sort of a gangster film to have a really interesting observation about the nature of marriage and